Hello, youth. I want you guys to, real quick, think of the most valuable thing that you have, or the thing that is of the most value to you. And just take a moment and think about what that is. It could be an item, it could be an idea, it could be someone in your life. And I want you to think of what it would be like if that thing went missing. Or that whatever that is, if you didn't have that around anymore, and it was something that you could go and get. It was something that wasn't lost permanently, but it was lost in a way that you could go and find it. Because for me, when I think of this, I think of like the times that I've lost my keys, or my phone even at times, and man, you can sink some hours into looking for those things. And so I want you to put yourself there, this thing of value that you're looking for, and think about how you would look for it. And as you do so, we're going to continue in our study in the book of Proverbs. Proverbs chapter 2 is where we're at this week, starting in verse 1. It says, "My son, if you receive my words and treasure up my commandments within you, making your ear attentive to wisdom and inclining your heart to understanding. Yes, if you call out for insight and raise your voice for understanding, if you seek it like silver and search for it as for hidden treasure." Or pause there. The wisdom of the Lord, the wise teacher here is presenting the wisdom of the Lord as this highly valuable thing that not only should be sought, but that we have to seek in order to obtain it. And they say, and this is not a passive thing. This is not something where we say, oh yeah, I want the wisdom of the Lord, and then I just like kick back and wait for my brain to just get flooded with it. It's an active thing that we have to go about seeking. And the things that the wise teacher says about how to go about that are to begin by treasuring it. Hold it of the highest value to you. Think of that thing that you've lost, how much you treasure it. The idea is that when it comes to the wisdom of the Lord, how valuable is it to us? We have to attune our ear to hearing and understanding it. And what this is this idea that practice makes perfect. When we interact with the wisdom of the Lord, it's this idea that practice makes perfect. As we spend time in God's word and we spend time growing in the things of God, our ears and our minds and our hearts become more able to work with and discern those things. And so we have to attune our ear. We have to the idea here is we literally have to learn how to hear it right. We have to call out for it. It's not something that we just, again, sit there and, wait for the people in our lives to just spit wisdom at us. I would say, and this is me personally thinking back to my time as a teenager and even sometimes my time now. Oftentimes when people give you wisdom, and it could be very good wisdom, but when you have not sought it out, sometimes it's hard to accept that wisdom. It seems like they're giving you something that, okay, thank you. And that goes back to that, we have to actively seek it out, communicate. I want this. Ask hard questions. Ask good questions. Ask questions of God's word. Explore it. Ask folks in our lives that we trust that seem to have a grip on it, but also know that as we do so, we're going to have more questions. And we're going to keep going deeper. That is kind of the journey that we're going to get to in just a second. We have to have a heart inclined toward it. The idea of this is that when we approach it, it's not enough to just call out to it. If we call out to it and then we begin to receive wisdom, but our hearts say, I don't really need that, or I don't really care. That's not for me. That is not going to be helpful either. We have to both actively call out for it and say, I want this wisdom, and have hearts and motives and attitudes that are open to receiving that wisdom when it is given to us, or when it is put forth to us. And then after this talk about calling out, it says that we have to raise our voice. This is not a passive thing. Seeking the wisdom of the Lord is not a passive thing that you get to kick back and just say, well, if I find it, I find it. If I don't, I don't. I guess I'll just call it a day. And a lot of y'all, you guys are done with school for the year. It's summer. And so take a well-deserved break, but maybe as part of that break, find some rest and find some time to dig into God's word this summer. If I could give y'all a couple of notes for places to start, go ahead and read through Proverbs. There's good wisdom in there. That's what we're going to be doing in these midweeks. But if you want to explore, we're going through John Sunday nights. Get into the book of John, start in John 1 and start reading. Find out a little more about who this Jesus guy is. And then as you have questions, ask him and go Google him. Sometimes Google is a good tool to be able to point you toward the next place to read. But if you get through John, I'd say go back to Genesis and hit it up. But this is an active thing that we have to actively be pursuing. And so the wise teacher says that if we seek the wisdom of the Lord, if we seek it like silver and search for it like hidden treasure. And the idea is that we pursue wisdom as if it is of high value. And some of you hear silver and you're like, well, it could have said gold or diamonds or literally any other thing. Bitcoin's pretty valuable. The point is, they don't have some of those things back then. But they hear this and they understood that it is of highly valuable metal. And the way you'd have to search for it is you'd have to meticulously pick away at the earth, and it took time and it took effort. And in many ways, the wisdom of the Lord can be that way. There's some things in there that they come naturally, and they you hear them and it's yeah, that makes sense. But then there's other things that it takes time. That's why people spend their entire lives trying to understand our God, and then only finding out that there are many things that we will never understand, and that's part of the journey. But he says, if we seek God's wisdom diligently, in verse 5, then you will understand the fear of the Lord and find the knowledge of God. To seek that wisdom, and notice it says that seek it diligently, call for it, be open to it, all those things. When you do those things, then you will find understanding and grow in that wisdom. And remember, the book of Proverbs it's not a book of promises. It's general truths. And so there's going to be times where you're going to be actively seeking wisdom, and it might feel like you're not getting it. You might feel like, man, I'm just not finding answers here. That's okay. That's okay. Because part of what we're going to see here in just a second is the actual act of seeking out that wisdom causes you to grow in that wisdom. So what he says here is, if you seek wisdom as if it is of high value, it's super valuable to you, it's costly, and you got to find it. Whatever that thing is that you lost, think about how hard you look for that. Do you look for the wisdom of the Lord even half as hard as those things? And it says, if you do that, then you will understand the fear of the Lord and find the knowledge of God. Notice he doesn't say, then you will have all of your questions answered and everything will make sense and the whole puzzle will all fit together and you'll have a perfect answer for everything. That is not what it says. It says, when you seek the wisdom of the Lord, you will understand the fear of the Lord, which is the beginning of wisdom. You will understand what it means to have this relationship with this God who is greater than you but loves you just without measure. And you will find the knowledge of God. That doesn't mean that you will have every answer. That doesn't mean that you will, unlock every little bit of the puzzle. But in seeking out that wisdom, the act of seeking out that wisdom is part of how God imparts wisdom to you and gets that wisdom to you and helps you grow in wisdom. So, seek God's wisdom diligently. Care about it enough to struggle a little longer with it would be my challenge to you. And I hope that you take some time this summer, take a much needed break from school, but take some time to seek out that wisdom, grow in that wisdom of the Lord. I want to let you guys know, and just a reminder, hey, I missed you guys Sunday, and we were out of town traveling back Sunday, and we'll miss you guys this Sunday as well. It's Father's Day, so go and spend time with your dads or the dads in your life. But we will see you for Grogs Friday night. If you want to ride with us over to Willamette, join us here at the church at 7. If not, you can meet us at Willamette Community Church at 7:30. Bring a friend. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm super excited to be joining Dylan and his group for this. And so, yeah, get pumped, get excited for Grogs this Friday. And I love you guys, and we'll see you Friday.